Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alex, it's Christmas time and it's time for the end of the year book tag. Let's go. Okay, so the first question is most disappointing book of the year. I'm going to have to go with the Paper Magician. It just wasn't my thing. It wasn't for me. I thought that it started pretty good, but it didn't deliver. I really enjoyed the start where she was just in this bizarre place and we didn't really know why she was there. And then how the story developed really took me in a direction that I wasn't really feeling. It was a good premise. I think that the idea was good, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, and it wasn't where I thought or where I wanted the story to go. It just fell a bit flat for me. Say hi. Say hi. Hi everyone. Question 2 is Underdog Book of the Year. The Illustrated Land of Oz. That really surprised me. I'd read The Wizard of Oz earlier in the year, and I thought I'm just going to carry on with it. I found it really an easy read, so I wanted to carry on. And The Illustrated Land of Oz really was fun. I really enjoyed how the characters were introduced. I thought that they were all really creative. Like the wooden sawhorse and the scarecrow, even the little boy, and just the story with his I think it was his grandma, I believe. And then his journey is when it's very early on, it might be a minor spoiler, but he leaves her to go along his own adventure. I thought that was really good. It took me away, and the illustrations really helped. I haven't read many illustrated books recently. It's just a breath of fresh air. I really recommend it if it's your thing, and if not, give it a go, you might enjoy it. Question 3 is a book that was overhyped. And I'm going to have to go back to The Paper Magician again. I don't remember seeing very many, it didn't have like glowing reviews, but for me, it was definitely overhyped. I expected a lot more from it, as I said previously. Question 4 would be favourite book couples of the year. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to say Fitz and Molly from the Royal Assassin. Their relationship began in Assassin's Apprentice, and it continued and developed in Royal Assassin. I really enjoyed how human Molly is. I think that Molly was a really well-rounded character. She didn't give Fitz all the answers that he wanted to hear. Her expectations of Fitz were fair, and he did not see it that way. He thought it was unfair on him. She wanted things from him that he wasn't able to do because of his duty to the king. He wrestled with that within himself. He wanted to do right by Molly. He didn't want to lose Molly, but he was a king's man through and through, and he was completely dedicated to the king. I also really enjoyed the relationship between Ketrican and Verity in the Farseer trilogy. Both of those characters individually, very strong, very strong characters, and it was great to see them, how they developed and how they become married, and then how that progressed, what their story became. Very unpredictable, very long drawn out storyline between those two. I really hope that there's more of them together. I love doing this. So number 5 is favorite main characters of the year. I mean, I've got to go with Fitz. I've got to go with the Fool from the Farseer trilogy. And then with the Live Ship Traders trilogy, Kennet is amazingly fascinating. I am so captivated by his story. Wintro is also, I mean, how excellent is Robin Hobb? How can you just choose a couple of their characters? I can't do it. I love them all. I guess I'm just gonna call it there because there's a lot. But that's the that would be the main ones anyway. Question 6. A book that surprised you. Do you know what? I really found that the Ozma of Oz books have actually been one of the most surprising. Simply because they're so dark. They're so much darker than I thought they were going to be. They're certainly written for children, but they're very dark. You know, there's parts of talk of cannibalism and decapitation. It's creepy. They're creepy books. I had to stop reading them. I was reading them for bedtime comforts, but I went out the window, and therefore it was the most surprising of the year. Question 7. New favourite author that I discovered in 2023. Hands down, Robin Hobb. Hands down. No one else this year or last year for me has compared anywhere close to Robin Hobb. She wins. Sorry if there's been lights reflected in my glasses. I'm trying out some new lighting, so I'm hoping it hasn't been too bothersome. My cat's just come in. See him, and he's looking for somewhere to sleep. So the next question is happiest read of the year, and I'm not sure I've read any happy books this year. They're all dark. They've all got a darkness to them. Even the ones that you wouldn't necessarily think that they would, like The Wizard of Oz. I'm pretty sure the happiest book that I've read this year has been The Land of Oz, the illustrated Land of Oz. I think that has been the happiest for me. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the pacing. I really enjoyed the characters. It was a light and fluffy book. As much as the Ozma books are not light and fluffy, this one really was. So number 9 is most frustrating book of the year. I'm going to go with half a book. I'm going to go with the first half of The Mad Ship, part of the first book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. And I found it frustrating because I didn't know what was going on. The start of that book is very confusing. It throws you in a completely different direction to what you think you're going in at the end of Assassin's Quest. But the Live Ship Traders is totally different. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't part of the realm of the Elderlings and a book series that I wanted to complete, I don't think I would have been so dedicated to actually reading that book. So I'm having a little bit of trouble with the next question. It's best adaptation of the year. Best adaptation of the year. This book is amazing. If you haven't read The Martian by Andy Weir at this point in your life, then you should. It's very, very good. He's stuck on Mars. He's all alone, and it's his story of how he returns back to Earth. So, question 11 is the longest book you read this year, and I haven't quite finished it. I must say, I've got like 100 pages left. It's The Mad Ship, and it is. Let me see how many pages I have left. I'm on page 788, and I believe it has about 907, and that will officially be the longest book that I've read this year and ever. So, question 12 is the opposite of that. So, the shortest book that I've read this year would be what's it called? Ozma of Oz, which is 112 pages. I'm not even sure if you could see any of this. Question 13 is favourite covers of the year. Oh my god, look at these. Look at these. My favourite book covers of the year include these lovely books from Robin Hobb. These are the UK versions, prints, covers of the First Year Trilogy books. This one I think is just the older version, but I think this is beautiful. Look at it. Oh, I really love these book covers because I think that they really help give an idea, an impression of the world and the story, but in very subtle ways. For example, in this book, there's the Red Ship Raiders, um, and you can see them here. But you wouldn't know that just going and picking this up off the shelf in a bookshop. There's also some interesting details in the R of the Royal Assassin. Once you've finished the book, you go back and look on here, you can figure out that this actually means more than you might have first thought. So I think that's really cool. Number 14 is a book that you haven't stopped thinking about. And I first read this back in June, and it stayed with me the entire time. It's got to be Assassin's Apprentice because this book has really stayed with me. I said in my previous video that this was a surprise read. It really was, and it's a book that's really changed my life. It's really opened me up to fantasy and Robin Hobb. I didn't know of her before, but also the characters. I want to know more about what happens with them, and this is where it all began. This entire story I've consumed countless times throughout the year. And it's because I couldn't get enough of it and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I will reread this book so many times throughout my life. It's my comfort book, it's my emotional support book. I love it so, so much. Question 15. Cringiest book of the year. Okay, so I'm not saying the entire book, I'm saying very significant parts of this book was very cringy, and I'm still wondering why it was part of what she decided to keep in the book. In Royal Assassin, there's some very questionable things that happen. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you know, you know. Okay? So, number 16 is an unpopular book that you loved. I'm not saying that this book is unpopular, but I do think that within the First Year trilogy, this is probably the least liked. But for me, I loved it. And that is Assassin's Quest. This book gets a lot of flack it does not deserve. It's a big book. It's a big book. It's like 800 pages, something long. And there is a lot. I mean, it's a quest. They're on a quest. There's gonna be boring parts of walking and journeying and descriptions of the scenery and monotony of finding somewhere to camp, looking for food, that kind of thing. And unfortunately, I think it gets a lot of negative views because of that. And I liked all of that stuff. I've got to smell it. I've got to smell it. You know when a book just wants you to smell it? I doubt he expected you to use them on yourself, the fool observed mildly. He pushed the knife away from the marionette he was stringing. Perhaps he thought you might use them to protect yourself. Don't you understand? I demanded of him. These are gifts for the boy Shade taught to be an assassin. He can't see that isn't who I am any longer. He can't forgive me for wanting a life of my own. There you go. Just a completely random page I opened it on. That, of course, was Fitz talking, and I think the Fool. What was I saying? Now that I'm more than halfway through the Live Ship Traders trilogy, I can definitely see where parts of this book was bringing forth some of that story. And I've also heard that this is the best book to reread because of everything that it has in it in terms of the story for the rest of the entire series. And that, I think that, come on, you've got to respect that, the fact that Robin Hobb was able to intertwine those things in so brilliantly and so perfectly that people thought that they were getting bored reading about it, but it was actually masterfully done because it was such an undertow of the story. There was actually things that was weaved into the monotony that you didn't realise was important, but it was. So, if you didn't like this book, please go back and reread it. Give it another chance. I bet it will surprise you, especially if you've read more of the Realm of the Elderlings books. Number 17 is actually a question I'm going to skip. What was the highest and lowest rated books you read this year on Goodreads, and do you agree? I'm still getting to grips with Goodreads. I don't really feel that I know that much about the site to be able to answer that question, so I'm not going to. Question 18 is favourite quotes of the year, and instantly there's a quote that comes to mind. And it's a very, very important thing. It holds so much more to it than you first think when you first hear it, but it's something that's repeated throughout Royal Assassin, and it's a quote from Night Eyes: "Wolves have no kings." That quote, Number 19 is the book with the most unique concept, and for me it's got to be this one. Long Live Pumpkin King. It's basically Sally's story, and it's set really close after the first story finishes. Basically, Sally is crowned the queen, along with Jack. She marries Jack. That's not a spoiler. That's right at the start of the book. I think it may actually be on the back of the book. Well, she's called the Queen, so you know she's married to Jack. Jack Skellington, you know what I'm talking about. And she's having an identity crisis, is really what's going on with her. She's having an identity crisis. She doesn't know where she fits in. She doesn't know that she wants to be the queen of Halloween Town. She's happy to be with Jack, but she's struggling with everything that involves. And of course, you know, the story develops. There's unsuspected things that happen, and you know, we meet a variety of characters along the way, and the ending was really sweet. I really enjoyed the ending. That was really sweet, but it was kind of cheesy. I mean, it's a Disney book. You know, it was kind of cheesy, but there you go. Anyway, I think that was the most unique concept for me this year. Question 20. A book that you've read that you would reread. I'm going to go with the second book in the Wayfarer series, which is called A Closed and Common Orbit. I would reread this book because, see now, Pepper and Lovelace, what an interesting pair. The dynamics of them was really interesting. The fact that Lovelace was AI. This was a book that was, I think, a very different coming of age story, because Pepper had to figure it out, and we saw her grow up in a short amount of time and figure things out for herself. So I think that probably counts as a coming of age story. She learned that skills that she had were far more useful than she first thought. Her background didn't prepare her for any of this, but she was still equipped with what she needed to survive. And the fact that Lovey was there as well, acting as a mother figure for her, was great. That was done really well. I enjoyed that a lot. How they would rely on each other and really be there for each other, but couldn't physically, you know, there couldn't be any affection. But Becky Chambers really provided Pepper with intimacy from Lovey. Their relationship, the way that was done, the AI advantages of that, and how that was accomplished. I would reread that again to be back in that relationship with them, to experience that again with them. Absolutely. Oh, I'm gonna have my pasta tonight. Oh, delicious. So we're on the second to last question, which is reading goal reflection and 2024 reading goal. So reading goal reflection this year, I'm gonna actually say I'm pretty proud of myself, because I didn't set an actual goal at the start of the year, but I actually managed to read 12 books this year, and I know that for a lot of people that's not much, but for me, that's the most I think I've read in a whole year ever. Um, I discovered Robin Hood this year, and those books, the Robin Hood books, are not small. I don't like to think, oh, I want to read this many books and have a number, because it's not about that for me. It's not about the number of books, it's about the quality of the story and my enjoyment. I want to be enjoying what I'm reading, and that is paramount to me more than anything else. I don't have a number ready for next year. I just want to enjoy what I'm reading, and I think that's going to happen because of the Realm of the Outlands books. They're all very enjoyable. The last question is, after 2023 reading, what are you prioritising in 2024 reading wise? And it's going to be the Realm of the Earthlings. I know I'm a broken record at this point, but there we go. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm into. And I'm going to continue with that, taking my time with it, not trying to keep up with anybody that, obviously you see a lot on social media about how many books people have read a month, and it's just not where I am with my reading. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of it, but I just have a different approach is all. That's my priority for the year, is just to enjoy myself. Thank you so much for watching again. And if you would like to see more of me and talking about books and my cat and my Christmas decorations, then like and subscribe and we can do it again. Okay? And I will see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate every single one of you.